Oppenheimer, the film by Christopher Nolan, is soon to be screened in theaters worldwide. So, who is Oppenheimer? He is known as the father of the atomic bomb. He played a pivotal role in creating both mankind's greatest and most controversial invention, but his journey wasn't without challenges. He even faced suspicions of being a Soviet spy because of his involvement with the bomb. So, today, let's dive into the life of Julius Robert Oppenheimer. Born on April 22, 1904, in New York, Oppenheimer grew up in a wealthy family. His father was a successful tailor and a German Jewish immigrant. With a rich educational environment and Oppenheimer's exceptional intellect, he entered Harvard University's Department of Chemistry. During his time at Harvard, Oppenheimer excelled, earning 1.5 times more credits than his peers, and graduating with top honors in just 3 years instead of the usual 4. But Oppenheimer's true passion lay in physics, so he set his sights on further studies. His pursuit of physics led him across the Atlantic to the United Kingdom, where the forefront of scientific advancements resided. Germany, France, and the UK were leading countries in scientific advancements, especially in the emerging field of quantum mechanics in the early 20th century. Oppenheimer joined the research group led by Nobel laureate Joseph John Thomson at Cambridge University. However, his time in Cambridge wasn't without its challenges. Oppenheimer faced difficulties adapting to life there, which took a toll on his mental well-being. There were moments of breakdowns and depression. In one incident, he even attempted to poison someone out of frustration for not receiving recognition from his physics mentor. It was a tumultuous period in Oppenheimer's life, but just as every great story has its turning point, Oppenheimer found solace in literature. He discovered comfort in the works of Robert Frost, which helped stabilize his troubled mind. As he delved deeper into the world of physics, his depression began to lift. Coincidentally, his brilliance caught the attention of Max Born, the director of the Physics Institute at Göttingen University in Germany. Göttingen was at the forefront of quantum mechanics, a burgeoning field during that time. Oppenheimer decided to leave the gloomy atmosphere of the UK behind and head to Germany, where his talents flourished. In Göttingen, Oppenheimer's transformation was remarkable. From an anxious and uncertain individual, he emerged as a confident and accomplished scholar. Within just 9 months, he earned his PhD, publishing an impressive 11 papers along the way. He had truly found his stride. Riding the wave of his newfound fame, Oppenheimer returned to the United States and began teaching at prestigious institutions like the California Institute of Technology and the University of California, Berkeley. His contributions to quantum mechanics and astrophysics were significant, and he was on a path to greatness. However, the world was on the brink of war. In 1939, Roosevelt, the president of the United States at that time, received a letter. The letter, sent by Albert Einstein, warned about the potential of creating a devastating bomb by applying the principles of his theory of relativity to nuclear fission. Einstein emphasized the catastrophic consequences if such a weapon fell into the hands of Hitler's Nazi regime before the United States had the chance to develop it. President Roosevelt, recognizing the gravity of the situation, immediately approved the Manhattan Project to expedite the creation of the atomic bomb, outpacing Hitler's efforts. Following Roosevelt's directive, General Leslie Groves took charge of the Manhattan Project, secretly assembling the best physicists in Manhattan. Oppenheimer, alongside luminaries like Enrico Fermi, Hans Bethe, Edward Teller, Richard Feynman, Julian Schwinger, and others, formed a physics dream team. But selecting the project's overall leader posed a challenge, considering the presence of multiple Nobel laureates. Initially, Fermi was considered, but since he had recently arrived in the US from Italy, Oppenheimer emerged as another candidate. However, Oppenheimer's connections with individuals sympathetic to communism or left-leaning ideologies raised concerns. Although Oppenheimer himself never joined the Communist Party, his younger brother, Frank Oppenheimer, briefly became a member anonymously. Moreover, Oppenheimer's wife, Kitty, had previous involvement with leftist ideologies. These associations led U.S. military officials to question Oppenheimer's loyalty and ideology, yet his extraordinary intellect and understanding of complex concepts made him an indispensable choice. After all, despite reservations from higher authorities, General Groves, the project's head, recommended Oppenheimer in a letter insisting on his inclusion as a leader. With Oppenheimer at the helm, the Manhattan Project took shape. A large research facility was established in the New Mexico desert. Oppenheimer, as the project leader, emphasized the consolidation of nuclear fission research, previously conducted independently at Princeton, Chicago, and Berkeley. He oversaw the integrated research and development activities of Manhattan Project-affiliated institutions nationwide, with the ultimate goal of creating functional nuclear weapons. The Los Alamos Secret Research Laboratory in New Mexico housed a community of over 6,000 scientists and engineers, resembling a small town. The Manhattan Project was an enormous undertaking, costing approximately $2 billion at that time. The culmination of their efforts came on a momentous day. The Trinity test marked humanity's first nuclear explosion. On July 16, 1945, at the Alamogordo bombing range in New Mexico, an experimental bomb, named the Gadget, was placed on a 30-meter steel tower, under the watchful eyes of key figures from the Manhattan Project, including Groves, Oppenheimer, and Lawrence. The first nuclear explosion took place at 5:30 a.m. The explosion, equivalent to 20 kilotons of TNT, created a massive 76-meter wide crater, with the shockwave extending up to a 160-kilometer radius. The intense heat inside the crater transformed the ground into a glass-like substance, later named Trinity. Despite the significant impact and shockwave that reverberated throughout New Mexico, the official government response was a brief mention of an explosion at an unmanned ammunition depot at the Alamogordo Air Force Base. The test was conducted secretly and received little attention, especially in the eastern United States. While ethical and political debates ensued among the Los Alamos scientists involved in the atomic bomb's development, Oppenheimer continuously expressed his desire to not only develop the most destructive weapon, but also to show the world what it was capable of. Oppenheimer firmly believed that the atomic bomb had the potential to bring an end to all wars. At the time of the Trinity test, the Japanese Empire was persisting in its resistance. This resistance posed challenges for the United States, which was already experiencing significant losses in places like Iwo Jima and Okinawa. The U.S. desired a swift end to the war. However, the Manhattan Project, which had received a budget of $2 billion, needed to demonstrate tangible results. Otherwise, the political aftermath surrounding the undisclosed expenditure would be substantial. And finally, the United States held the card of the atomic bomb. In the end, Oppenheimer and his team developed the world's first practical atomic bomb, named Little Boy, which was not intended for experimental purposes. On August 6, 1945, it was detonated in Hiroshima. Little Boy, a uranium-based bomb, had an explosive yield of 15 kilotons, reaching a terrifying level of destruction. However, even after the deployment of Little Boy, Japan did not surrender. 3 days later, an even more powerful bomb, the historic first plutonium atomic bomb, named Fat Man, was dropped on Nagasaki. And finally, on August 15th, Japan surrendered. After all, Oppenheimer's leadership in the development of atomic bombs played a decisive role in ending World War II. As the Manhattan Project became public knowledge, Oppenheimer himself started gaining media attention and emerged as an icon of the new scientific weapon. After stepping down as the director of the Los Alamos Laboratory, Oppenheimer returned to academia, but continued to serve as a consultant to the president. Oppenheimer's views on nuclear weapons, however, grew increasingly skeptical as he recognized humanity's capacity for self-destruction. Witnessing the devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Oppenheimer proposed to President Eisenhower the development of smaller tactical nuclear weapons instead of large-scale indiscriminate devices. However, as tensions heightened during the Cold War, and the arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union escalated, the United States pursued the development of hydrogen bombs. Oppenheimer resisted collaboration from a moral standpoint, advocating for an agreement with the Soviet Union to refrain from producing hydrogen bombs. He also impeded research on hydrogen bombs. Unfortunately, President Eisenhower's urgent plans for hydrogen bomb development and the successful hydrogen bomb test at Los Alamos in 1951 overcame Oppenheimer's resistance. Shortly after, the Soviet Union also achieved success in their hydrogen bomb test, raising concerns that they might surpass the United States in this field. Oppenheimer, who already faced suspicions and anti-communist sentiment, became subject to investigation. From April 12 to May 6, 1954, his past activities and beliefs were scrutinized, and it was revealed that he had close ties with communists in the 1930s and held opposing views on hydrogen bomb production, leading to restrictions on his access to nuclear-related information. This marked the end of Oppenheimer's career. He retired, and in 1967, at the age of 62, he passed away from throat cancer. However, on December 15, 2020, it was revealed that the Atomic Energy Commission's decision in 1954 was flawed, violating their own regulations. More evidence emerged, highlighting the biases and unfair treatment Oppenheimer endured. It was stated that evidence of his loyalty and patriotism would continue to be acknowledged. After 68 years, Oppenheimer's accusation of being a former Soviet spy was debunked. Kai Bird, the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of the authorized biography, American Prometheus, deemed the events of 1954 a national embarrassment and stain on honor. So this was the story of Oppenheimer, who remains known as the father of the atomic bomb, mankind's greatest and most controversial invention. Alright, if you enjoyed this content, please make sure to hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel. Your support would truly make my day. If you are still taking a dump, here are more videos for you. Thank you for your time.